Our guest, political research analyst at the Stockholm Center for European Studies, Mr. Andreas Umland, is again with us. Hello, Mr. Umland.
Hello, thanks for having me again.
Always a pleasure. Well, let's start with the ceasefire. Well, if I will say that ceasefire and peace deal, whatever it will look like, whatever is the way it will happen, let's say it happened, but Russia cannot be trusted a priori. Would you agree with me?
Yes, and we see that now that Putin has allegedly agreed to this proposal by Trump to have a sort of moratorium on attacking energy infrastructure. But an hour after the conversation, a power plant in Sloviansk was attacked by Russia and hit and partly destroyed. So this is just another illustration of how Russia negotiates. Yeah, so this everybody who has studied Putin's behavior in the last 25 years would know that, but now also the Trump administration is learning this.
But I mean, how low can they go? How much time and effort and our Ukrainian blood it will take for them to learn? I doubt that they will really learn anything because they're getting closer and closer like allies. Is that what is happening? Or you still believe? I know that many people try to put their words into Trump's mouth, but then it gets worse, or to the better. Well, at least Europe has awakened. That is true. That is much. Europe is doing a lot now that has been, well, Europe had to do it like 3 years ago. But now, what is happening? After the deal is done, what is my personal interest? If Putin breaks the deal again and bombs Ukraine, do you really believe that like America will act in any other way? They say, don't do that again. We need another agreement or something like that.
Yeah, I'm afraid that the Trump administration is not very much interested simply in Ukraine, and they may simply turn away from Ukraine and then try to blame Zelensky for it. The strategy that seems to be behind that is what is sometimes called reverse Kissinger. It's a repetition of what Henry Kissinger did in the 1970s when he visited China and then broke broke apart the Chinese Soviet alliance, or the then already broken alliance, and sort of allied the United States with China.
Right.
Something like that is apparently now going on here, that Washington wants to break up the Chinese-Russian alliance, but this won't work. This is not going to be a good strategy, but nevertheless, this strategy seems to be behind Trump's behavior.
Right. Yeah, very much seems to me just as well. Well, the United States is thinking of scrapping SAC Europe, that's Supreme Allied Commander Europe position, like at all. And this disregard NATO without US on degree from 1 to 10. How possible is that? I mean, actually leaving the position, just let's forget about that, but then leaving NATO forever at all. Like United States just walks out of the door. Is that even possible?
It's possible, but I don't think so far that it is likely, because perhaps Trump would like to do it. Musk has already announced that he wants the US to go this way. But there are also other forces, other institutions. There's a civil society in the US, I think, that would be against that. And so I'm still hoping that at least NATO can be preserved as an institution. I cannot imagine that simply, this is now an alliance that is 75 years old, that this will be simply thrown out. And that there will be no, if that is attempted, that there will be no response, let's say, from Congress against such a radical change of the international relations of the US.
Will Trump push on further, like Ukraine to give up on territories. I think that he will, but do you believe that he will push it further to just give up on territories that Russia has invaded and illegally obtained? Do you believe that's a part of his plan?
At least concerning Crimea, there are at least rumors in that regard that Crimea has been offered actually sort of by Trump to Russia. Whether this also concerns mainland Ukraine, I don't know.
Right.
The problem here is with Crimea and also with the mainland territories that Putin wants more. He needs the land connection from the Donbas to Crimea, or from Russia to Crimea. And he also wants to fulfill the Russian constitution, which says that the full territories of
Course.
Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia should be part of Russia. So that may not be enough. And for me, again, the question is how much will the American public, the American civil society, the American parties, and institutions accept? How much of an appeasement will they swallow, so to say? And I'm actually more or less optimistic on that
Really?
there will be negative assessments for Trump if he gives away territory of Ukraine, and maybe he will be trying to then simply, as I already mentioned, leave the process and try to blame Zelensky for not cooperating sufficiently with him.
Really? So, and if Ukraine just won't fall for it, won't take this, I don't know how to put it even, proposal by Trump to give up on territories, Trump and Putin, what happens then? What happens to Trump? What happens to Ukraine? What happens to Russia? What happens to politics? Because as far as I can see it, everything just will crumble down. If Ukraine says firmly, no, we won't give up any territories, like even the Crimea, what happens then?
Well, I think one has to distinguish here between a de facto sort of acknowledgement of, let's say, the current status quo,
right,
and some sort of real, transfer of territory. So obviously, Ukraine is not ready to transfer any territory, but it may agree to ad hoc acceptance of the current status quo. And that is basically what Zelensky already indicated when he said he's ready for an unconditional ceasefire. Okay. So I think it's a complicated situation for Trump because the American public is on Ukraine's side. So he has to find some sort of way out for himself if he cannot actually produce peace and a solution of the conflict where he still looks good. And that is not so easy to do. He cannot simply sort of blame Zelensky for everything. They tried to do that already in the White House, but that sort of fired back. And now they have, I guess they are looking for a way to leave this whole thing without looking too bad.
Amen to that. Well, I don't have any further questions for the moment, but maybe the last one. Zelensky will talk to Trump. Do you expect anything new out of this phone conversation that is happening right now, probably?
I can't really imagine that something new will come out because the positions are more or less clear. I don't think there's actually that much to communicate in terms of the substance of the issue, rather perhaps some sort of repair of this relationship that has gone sour after the last meeting between them. So maybe that will be useful, but I don't think there will be any cardinal change.
All right, we'll see very soon. That much is clear, Mr. Umland. And again, thank you so very much for your effort, that you're with us, and we talk very soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Fahid.
Goodbye.